Hello everybody, it's Larry and welcome to today's video. Well, as you can see from this picture, we are at a Matrix moment, and I just want to really emphasize that beyond here there be dragons, so to speak. If we're going to quote things from long ago, using the stuff from the Matrix, there was the take the blue pill, take the red pill moment. Take the blue pill and you wake up blissfully thinking what you thought before. And if you take the red pill, you get to see the truth regardless of how ugly it is. So I'm going to take you to the moment in which I took the red pill. And if you continue on, the information here may shock you equally as well. So this is your time. There's no harm, no foul. If you want to think about it a little bit, you can turn off the video. The video will still be on YouTube for you to watch later. But yeah, there's some real stuff coming up in this. So you're going to see how to find stuff, how to check stuff. But what we're going to do is I'm going to start with that moment that I knew. Well, we're going to be like a moment before I knew and then the moment I knew. So what we're going to do is look at my DNA matches, and in here I had a couple of matches pop in. Now, as I've told you before, these matches weren't here, but not this one. This one popped up onto my DNA match list, and I had no clue how it matched. And I thought, because my mother's father, at least who I thought was her father at the time, had children in 1917 through 20 out in Kentucky, then in Oklahoma in the 1940s, and California in the 1950s. A bit of a scallywag, so to speak. And, well, it is what it is. So I thought that this was just probably an undocumented adventure, for lack of an appropriate term, that he had somewhere in between, and the descendants thereof. In fact, I was pretty confident in it. In fact, almost to the point of arrogance, going, I know where that came from. I know how that fit in. And I'm going to see how I can fit it into the tree. Because remember, I think that I have this pristine tree, and I'm about to write a book. All right, I've connected these people. All of them have DNA matches. The paper trail's perfect. I've been able to find people that had DNA that went up through those lines and down to them. So I'm confident in this. So this has to be one of those affairs. Well, then a little bit later, another one pops in. This one pops in. 467, 483. Now, those are pretty significant matches. We're talking up at the half first cousin level. And so that means that to have a half first cousin, we have to share a grandparent. And now I'm thinking, okay, well, it's my mother's father. I'm still thinking that. So I asked my mother to take a DNA test, and she does. And it comes back, and guess what? It doesn't match my mother. If you see up here, it says mother's side on anybody that matches my mother. Okay, mother's side. Well, these matches in the 400s, they don't come up as mother's sides. MM and Nancy Robledo don't come up as mother's side. They're on my father's side. So I can't really figure this out, because that would mean as a grandparent, it had to be, go over here, as a grandparent, as a parent, it had to be either Otha Basie or Margaret Lewis. Now, again, many cultures, if the woman has the baby, it's accepted as fact, and the man not so much, simply because the woman has to be there when the baby's born. So what that means is, though, either Otha or Margaret had a child that nobody knew about. More likely, I'm guessing, Otha. So I'm thinking that this is a connection, and Otha maybe wasn't faithful to Margaret, but these were very Christian in the utmost sense. They walked the walk. I mean, they weren't browbeating about it. They simply lived their life as they thought it should appropriately be lived, from the time they were old enough to make choices until the day they passed. And even now, I have nothing but mad respect for that family. In fact, man, people have asked me what name to choose. I'm biologically a Brown. I was Basie for 30 years and Jones for a handful of years too. But I mean, this is an honorable family. Okay, I'm gonna just say it like it is. And the whole idea that one of either Otha or Margaret could have had something extra, it bothered me. But at 469 centimorgans, it really was pretty evident that that's what's going to happen. Now, neither one of these people knew Basie or Lewis or Warner or Long or French or Mills or Moore. They didn't know any of these names, not just here, but none of these weren't in their tree. So I'm thinking, well, there had to be something extracurricular there. Then this happens. This person pops in right here. 840 centimorgans. We're talking first cousin or aunt or uncle, and since it's a female picture, we're talking about a female first cousin or an aunt. And I'm just dumbstruck at this point, because now, to complicate this story, is I've got some 400s here. Well, there's an 800, so maybe the 800 is a half aunt or uncle, and maybe it's their kid. I'm trying to picture how this can possibly work. So the next logical step was I asked Larry Basie, whom I'm named after. I was named after Dwight's brothers, Larry and Dwayne. Larry Dwayne Jones, Larry Basie, Dwayne Basie. All right. So this is Larry Basie's DNA match list. Now, I should show up as 1700 to him. His closest match of anybody is 350. In fact, he's only got, 5 that are over 100? And I'm not there. But guess who else wasn't there? This person wasn't there, and these other 2 people were not there as well. That is the moment. That that was the moment that the red pill, I realized what I had stepped into. So as we go looking forward from this point forward, right now you're still at this opportunity to pick. Okay? You can take the blue pill and turn off the video and be happy. And I wish something would have distracted me and I wouldn't have looked further, and maybe I'd not ever looked again, and I would have been happy and all that, right? I definitely wouldn't have the feelings that I have now. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't harbor anything negative against my bio family, and they don't harbor anything negative against me. But for the last 57 years, my first cousins have done things together without me. And so right now I kind of feel like Rudolph. They're off doing the reindeer games, and, well, I'm not even invited. So, it kind of is what it is. And then the other one, that family's gone. And then, there's the Jones family, which is the one I have the name. So talk about conflict. So now Larry's taken a test, and he doesn't match me and all the other people. But when I go over to him and I look, it's pretty evident, that these people right here, they do match that tree, that William Orville Lewis and William Michael Lewis and those people that are in this tree, William Orville, William Michael, they all match him. He's definitely Basie, they're definitely Basie, and that's definitely his tree. It's just not my tree, not my biological tree. So, I can remove that. We don't need that tab anymore. And so this is your last chance to take the blue pill. You can hit the pause button or stop and take a couple of days or weeks or months before you decide. Because if you keep going and you follow the steps here, it can change your life. I'm just saying. So we're getting ready to remove it. The pills are about to be gone. All right, if you're still here, choice has been made. So now we have these matches, and we know they're not on my mother's side, okay? Because everything on my mother's side is marked mother's side. All right, so we already know that. Now, if you didn't have that, we'll do that in a different video, how to discern that. All basically you need is one cousin you know for sure, or one person you know on either side that's taken the test, and then those on the other side, won't flag up. But let's start here. Now, we're trying to figure out that we've just had that aha moment. We've had the gut punch. I'm not related to Larry, therefore I'm not related to Dwight. I've confirmed that Larry matches all the bases. Went through all the list. Yes, all those people match all the people I would have expected to match to. I don't match to any of those people, and I don't match to Larry. So that's pretty much a done deal. The question was maybe Dwight was illegitimate, but that wasn't the case either. So there was some blood tests done for medical purposes when he died of cancer. So that's not a factor. They're definitely brothers. So here we go. So I'm not going to worry about my mother and my daughter. That's not going to help me find out. Well, I can't ignore what I see today on my DNA list. So we're looking as if I had just asked Larry today. He just gave me the test. So if you're finding this stuff today, we're looking at it right now with today's eyes. We have a 1606 cousin right here. Now, I did talk to this person by phone for the course of about 6 months as they tried to help me figure this out. They had not taken a test yet. They didn't show up on the list. This was my closest one. But I was talking to this person. Once I told them who I thought I was related to, they took a test in order to find out if I was really right. I mean, come on, I made a pretty good assertion that you're my aunt. And she's like, all right, this has got to be some kind of con job. I'm going to prove you're wrong. I'm going to take the test. Takes the test. Looks like I may be your aunt. So, but that's a whole other story that was quite humorous. So, I know this person's background because I talked to him, but we're going to assume I'm just got the DNA list. So I've got no tree, and I've got no tree. Now I'm going to take this out of full screen mode because we're going to need to do the tabs here. And at this point, we don't need the tree anymore because we know we can just cross this off. This whole thing in here, that tree is busted. 50% of the tree is busted. We're now, all we have open is the match list. We want to find out who my biological father is. How do all these people relate to me? Because I have no clue. I'm starting, 7 billion people in the world, 7.7 or whatever it is, plus everybody that died between the time I was conceived till now. Who could it be? The closest relative, no tree. Second closest relative, no tree. We're going to open these ones that have trees. We're going to open them in tabs. All right. And I apologize because we're going to get jumpy between tabs and I'm probably going to, lose you. But if I don't go quick and do some of this video would last days. And so plus for my mental health, we're going to make this last a little bit less than the time that it needed to be. Here's a big tree. We'll add that one too. Okay. So here we go. We've opened 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 trees. What we want to find are commonalities. All right. So here's all these people I didn't know before. What are the commonalities? We want to find out how I'm related to them, of course, but it's equally important to figure out how they're related to each other. Okay. So we've opened the trees and let's see what we got. We've got Private, we've got Keatley and Geraldine Edmund Brown. Okay. So all we know is Geraldine Brown, Francis Keatley. We're going to look at the next one. We're going to look at this tree. We've got all Private. We got Larkin Brown. and all private. So we've got a Geraldine Brown, we've got a Larkin Brown, and we've got a birth and death year, so we could do a search right here and provide information. But we're going to just go through these trees first because we've got this handy to us. Then we'll come back and start doing some searching. All right. So what we're going to do is, so far we've got Brown and Keatley. We got Hopkins, Norfleet, Brown, and McFarland. But that's a John Fred and a Pauline Juanita, Larkin, and Geraldine. We don't have any. We got a similarity in the names, the surnames, but not. We got a Fred. Now in the Fred, we had a Fred with a daughter Pauline, and here we have a Fred with a daughter Pauline. All right. So now we have some commonalities. Let's see. We got John Fred Brown, Pauline, and private, and then we have Fred, Pauline, and private. So Fred, Pauline, and private. Fred, Pauline, and private. So this tells me that they're probably sisters. Okay. So we're gonna go to the next one. We got Wooten. We got Alva something. We had to research that one. So look at this tree. Okay, we got Motley, Peachy, Spence, and Dolly McFarland. So we had a McFarland, I think, before. So we come up here. There's a Thelma Jane McFarland. Okay, so we got a Thelma Jane and a Dolly May. So we come here. We've got a Doris Geraldine. Now I think we had that before. We have a Geraldine Edmund. So we've got two with Geraldine. Maybe one of them has a spelling differently. All right, so this one, all private. Not a lot of help there. Okay, so we have this one. We got Reynolds, Wilson, Peterson. We got Spence. We got this Dolly May McFarland, which was spelled differently. Where was the Dolly May? Dolly May and William Marion. Dolly May and William Marion. Okay. And then we come over here and we have Brown again and McFarland. We have Brown's married to McFarland's. So did we have that? We had Spence married to McFarland's there. And there. So we're seeing two names that are coming up pretty common. And that is Brown and McFarland. So looking at this Brown, let's look at the profile. And we're going to see, since that's the older one, we're going to see if there's a commonality, if they're siblings, maybe they're cousins. We're going to see what this person has in their stuff, or we'll have to do a search. That is, if it comes up, let's see if we can. It's not wanting to do that, so let's see if we can do it from this way. William Brown. Okay, William Alexander Brown has Wesley. Let's do a search. So you can just click on that search button, it'll do a search. All right, so we've got William Brown from the Young Family Tree. We'll do this one and see if they've got it documented. And they do, they have some censuses. Let's see if we see any names that we saw before. All right, well, we're starting to see a couple of them here. We have John Fred, I remember that one. Let's see, go back to our trees. We had Geraldine, Larkin, John Fred right here. So John Fred. So this says that John Fred was the son of William. So now we're starting to get kind of tree information. And then let's see, who else we have? Wes. I think there was a Wes in here. Wes Brown, someplace in here. I thought I saw a Wes. Fred, there's another Fred. John Fred. Maybe I didn't see a Wes there. Okay. So John Fred. And then Clarence. And so all these, well, now look at here. So we got a Dolly. And so there's Dolly Brown, 1903. And Dolly McFarland, that was married, it was 1902. Let's see, what was the Dolly? 1902. Is there any more Dollys? No. Okay, so what we'd have to do then is, keep looking around, and let's see if we've got, oh, what we could have done is just done the censuses. Let's go back. Censuses are a great source from here to kind of verify. Now this is 1903, so that wouldn't show there, but we go up to, see, Dolly, it says Dolly Brown. Now you'd come up here to William Brown, but you're not going to see a Dolly in there. That means it was married to a Brown. Okay, so let's go back to where that was. So let's look at Dolly. Dolly was married to Clarence Brown. Okay, so Clarence was the one that was the son of William. All right, so we're going to look in there. Clarence was born in 1898. All right, let's see the most current census we have here of him. And see who's in there. So we got Ollie for Dolly and got a William Smith. And let's see what we got here. We got Dolly, Geneva. Okay, we got a Paul that was in one of the lists, and there's that Geraldine. Okay, so Geraldine, we've got matched with this William. So we've got a real strong proof that William is going to be a commonality amongst many of them. So we got William right here. Okay, so we know that this person falls under William. Dolly May was married to a Clarence Brown, and Brown's that, but there's no Brown here, so we have to reconcile the McFarland. But looky here, we got McFarland with Eleanor McFarland, and then we got a McFarland and Brown. Here we got McFarland, who was a Brown, maybe a Spence on a remarriage. So we'll have to find something good about Dolly May McFarland. So we can pick one of these and then maybe do a search and see what we can find on the internet about her. All right, so she was born in 1902. Dolly May McFarland, looky here, Larkin Brown. So Dolly May McFarland, let's see, this looks pretty friendly. All right, and there's William Spence. So this one shows the remarriage. We got, and here it says Doris Geraldine instead of Geraldine. And we've got a couple of privates. That's probably the, let's see, well, I don't know who those are at this point. I mean, I know who they are, but so looking right here, let's see, we had the Larkin, that was where? Right there. So this person goes from them to Rebecca to Larkin, and then Larkin, where was Larkin? Is that the right one? Let's see, this is Dolly. Sorry. Yeah, Dolly. I'll move that to the end. All right. All right, so Larkin Brown. This person comes up to Larkin and up to Clarence and up to William. So Larkin, Clarence, William. All right, so this person comes up to William. Now, the question is, how to get this person, we got McFarland's, and over here it says Brown, but she was married evidently to Clarence Edmund Brown, and so these descendants will match here, and then these descendants will match. So, this is a pretty big clue. I match these people who weren't necessarily related to Clarence. And I also matched these people, which were not related to William Marion. Only one person that they had in common, and that's Dolly May McFarland. So Dolly May has to be above me. I mean, she has to be above me because I'm related to this person. This person right here is not a Brown. This person, where are they at? Where's their tree? Come on, Doug. What do I do with the tree? Hello, tree. Right here. Dolly May, William Marion. Okay? And then private. So they have parent, grandparent, and great-grandparent. Right here is Dolly May. And I'm related to this person. But this person is not related to Brown. They're related to the second marriage. Okay, right here. Therefore, if I'm related to them, I could come in under here, or I could come in under here, or I could come in under here, or actually there was a total of 9 I researched. 9 spouses, 13 kids total. So where do I come in? Well, I don't know. But at this point, I know where to start. But in order to cast a bigger net, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go one above Dolly and do James, Larkin, and Sarah, just to kind of catch the whole net of everybody. And I'm going to start building this tree out from William and down. So let's see, view in tree. Okay, and let's look at this. Gotta let Ancestry think for a little bit. Here's the kids. All right, so here's that. So I don't know if I'm in this node, this node, this node, but I do know I'm going to be under her. Well, if I'm related to these people over here, remember there was John Fred. So for John Fred, for the people underneath here to reach me, and if I'm under here and she doesn't connect over here, that means I have to connect here. So I have to come up, they have to come up here to this person. I have to come up here to her and up to this person, which means I have to be under Clarence. I can't be under William Marion, because if I was under Marion, then those descendants would go a different direction. In order for me to connect to this person, in order to connect to the descendants of John Fred, I have to come in under Clarence. So what this tells me at this point is these are my ancestors. These are going to be my grandparents. Well, how do I know they're my grandparents? Well, that's because I took the CMS numbers and laid them on top of the DNA matches. So if we go back to the DNA match list, remember, this one was an 840, okay? And this person comes in under the other tree, that William Marion Spence, okay? And then this person comes in under Clarence. Those two are half sisters. And I can find that out either A, by talking to him, or B, I can find it out from these census reports, okay? Because it's going to show them in there, and I can pull it up that way. So again, I now know I have to come in under Clarence in order to match up with the John Freds, okay? And then there was also a Wes that showed up. And did any of these others showed up? Yeah, we're going to find this one in my match list too here in a second. I'll show you that. And because I match these people, these descendants here, I have to connect at this MRCA to those people. So they come up here, go across to here, and then come down. All right? So I'm under Clarence and Dolly. And I match people that go Dolly and William, or Mary and Spence. I match the people over here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense there. So the question now is, if I come under Clarence and Dolly, under who? All right, so I know that I'm under these. Now, I will say this, male, 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 that's the only 3 males in here. So I'm going to match under Paul or Ernest or Larkin. One of these 3 I now know is my father. I don't know which one, but one of these 3 is going to be my father. How can we find out? Well, we got to go to the match list. Now we pulled up the trees that we had here, and we're going to come right over here. Now we've got Larkin, Rebecca, and Private. And Private's obviously, the Morgana here. I don't know why it's marked Private. That's kind of an ancestry flop there, but at least it privatizes the birth and death years and things like that. That's public information. That's not public information, but common sense tells you it's the same. So, it is what it is there. And I mean, that's for all of us searching. All right, so you've got Larkin Brown, and you've got a daughter, Rebecca Brown, and you got this person. Does this person, they go up one, I know one of the three brothers, again, I know it's going to be Larkin, Ernest, or Paul. Okay? So Larkin, Ernest, or Paul. I don't have anybody that says Ernest or Paul. So I'm going to just remove all this other stuff because we've already determined there was Fred. We've already determined, see, there was Geraldine. There was Dolly. There was Wesley. Remember I said there was a Wesley Brown, in that tree from over here. So Wes, comes up to William. John comes up to William. And if I match those people, if I matched Dolly and any other of her husbands, I would have been off someplace else with Dolly's ancestors and the male's ancestors. I have to come in under Clarence. So we've already determined with 100% certainty I come in under Clarence at this point. So the question is, which one of, it says 4 there, but there's 3 brothers there. So which one of these 3 brothers is it? So in this one we've got 1, 2, and then if Larkin was my father, it'd be up 2 and down 1. So at this point, we're going to go to the DNA painter, and we're going to go to the shared centimorgan tool. And for the record, I like this rollover thing, but I don't like the fact that they've modified some of the numbers here because I find them to be a little bit less accurate than before. The second cousin once removed used to say 0 on up. I have several instances in my DNA matches between me and my mom and me and my aunt that I'm 0 at a second cousin once removed, and they're up in the 200s. So it's still 0. So that shouldn't have been bumped up to 14. It does go down to 0. So before it had 0. So anyway, that's a little side note. So I actually kind of trust the V3 a little better because it does say 0 right there. But to me, that's a little more accurate. So now I want to find out, do I come in under Larkin or do I come in under the other? So what did I match Morgana? Well, Morgana comes up as 753 centimorgans. So we're going to put 753 centimorgans in there. Now remember, in order for it to be her, I have to go up 1 only. If Larkin's my father, I go up 1 and then I'll come down 2. If I'm under one of the 2 brothers, I'll go up to a brother over and down 2. Okay? So if I go up 1, 34, 17, 850, 425, or if it's going to be, just up 1 and down 2, we're looking around 800-ish. All right? Well, here I already know the answer because it's 753. All right? So here's me. I come up 1 and down 2. All right? Half niece and nephew. And so if it would have been a brother, if I'd have come up here and it had gone over to a half aunt or uncle and come down to, okay, it would have been different. So if it was to Larkin and then over to, let's say, Ernie or Paul, and then the Rebecca and then the person, I'd have been looking at this number at 226. Instead, I had, 753? Yeah, 753 there. So I know this is going to be the one. Larkin was my father, and that also meant that I found out right here that I had a sister that was born in Oklahoma City. And a little bit of ironic note here. She divorced and remarried, and she remarried in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, which is where I was married, in Ocho Rios, Jamaica. So how's that for irony? Me and my sister, whom I never knew, both got married in a foreign country in the same town. Tell me the world isn't small. So anyway, that's where you can go. I mean, again, this tree, you had no tree, 19 people. You had unlinked with, what, 3, 6, 7 people in the tree, and only 2 of them you could see. So out of the 7, 5 were marked private. So there wasn't a lot there. 30 people unlinked with 10. Only 4 people, which that one we weren't even able to use. An unlinked tree with what, like 7 or 10 people or something like that. It wasn't a lot, 10. So here we were, and all it was bits and pieces, and the pieces, none of them spelled Dolly May McFarland all the same way. Actually, this one is correct. Good job, Leilani. And you had the different names, different spellings. But once we went out, and found a person that had the tree, we were able to look at it. And I want to make a comment here about upcoming product that's coming out. This one, they actually give this as, see this tree, this Michelle Young. It has William Brown's father as Moses Parks. It's not, it's John Brown. But there's a census report that shows him, but that census shows him as a stepson. And that's going to come up in an upcoming product. Let's see, where's William Brown was 1859, 1880 census. And let's see if it shows the household members here. I know this is a little side note, but I also want to make a point here. So right here it says William A. Brown. Okay, this is here. And right here it says stepson, but yet it's going to show up in that person's tree as a son. And because it did, if it would be through lines or anything else, it picks that up. This William Brown, it sees that because this person has connected them as a full father and not as a stepfather. Then that's going to show up. So in the upcoming product, it's jacked up because it picks that up. That's a side note. But that also means that you can't just look at these and just trust them. So what you need to do in order to verify those connections with Clarence and the kids, you're going to want to come and find the census report to verify those. So 1904, 1908. So we're going to look at 1910 and look at that census to verify household members. And there it has, John has Wesley. So it does have the people that are in the tree. And then we're going to want to look to make sure that it's not a stepson or stepdaughter, daughter, son. Now, I say that, now we went through that really quick. And so to keep it high level and so that this wasn't, hours long. When you get that tree and you're working it, on the dolly and you're, figuring it out, you're going to need to verify all these people by going to the tree, okay? So you're going to have to go, 1928, you're going to have to go to the 1930 census, and you're going to have to find that person in the tree, okay? So there's Geraldine right there in the tree. You're going to have to find, David, Paul, Larkin wasn't born then. So you're going to have to find these people in these census reports and prove these other people's trees in order to find out your tree. So if you watch the 4-part series that we had before, the first was the clustering. Now, we were able to do this without clustering in this video simply because, it had a lot of DNA matches in it now. As I told you before, when I first started, there were not all these matches. In fact, there was only 2 over a few hundred. It actually looked a lot like my uncle's, in which case it might be a lot tougher to do that. But so many people have done it now. I mean, looky here, 179 people, unlinked tree 2180, 88, a couple more unlinks. Might be able to do it the same way there, even though a lot less centimorgans. So don't think that just because you have fewer centimorgans you can't do it, because you can. And the whole thing is, it's what information they have. Maybe they have commonalities, maybe they don't have commonalities. If they do, that's your first clue, is try to find commonalities and then start overlaying them. And then once you start overlaying them, you're going to have to build the tree. And then the centimorgans. Okay, so at 840, I know I only have to go up to, grandparent for an MRCA, because that's a first cousin or an aunt, uncle. Either way, I'm looking at a grandparent would be the MRCA. If I come down here to the 469, it could be there if it's a half, could be a step up. So I want to build it wherever I'm researching, plus one more level up. Because remember I said, hey, I wanted to go to William and Caroline and James and Sarah. I want to go one more level up, and then I want to build it all down. And I want to look at the census reports, get all the information I can, build that tree. Then what I want to do is I want to take my distance of match to each one of these people, and I'm going to lay it across the tree. So this one I knew matched Clarence and Dolly, okay, and 1606. This one only matched Dolly at 840. So I know again, and that's because I talked to them that I know this. Without knowing it, we were able to find in the tree and in the census reports, you can find their names and do all that. Everything's public information. I'm just respecting the fact that they put initials and fake names. So you can go out there, you can find all that information. It's public out there in the census reports because those are public documents. So again, if somebody goes and looks a name up in the phone book, and a phone number and an address are all in the phone book, well, just because I said they were out in the phone book doesn't mean I'm sharing their private information. It's in the phone book. They shared it. All right, so I know this one is for Dolly and Marion. This is for Dolly and Clarence. And you can see that it's double. So I've got Dolly and I've got Clarence. All right, so that's another validation. Right here, they've got Dolly and Clarence, but they're a little more distant. Okay, so they're actually my first cousin. So okay, your back ends are overtaxed. Hope I'm not the one overtaxing it. Actually, I'll just tell you honestly, folks, if you open a lot of browser tabs like this, it kind of triggers their bot response system sometimes. Because I've actually had 40, 50 tabs open here and open them real quick and looking because I'm searching really quick for some stuff. And I've had some messages pop up that are kind of unusual. So we've got, JC, we've got Geraldine, okay, which we know is the daughter now of Clarence and Dolly. So we've got Dolly and Clarence, Geraldine and her. And so she goes up 1, 2 to Clarence and Dolly, and I go Larkin to me, I go down 2. So the 781, and we go up here to 781. You may have to refresh this page. Whatever script was on that other page, it kind of affected the other pages. 781. And so I'm not looking over on the half kinship because I know this is a full kinship. So if it's me, I go up 1, 2, come down 1, 2, first cousin. So that's Dolly and Clarence. And she goes Geraldine, I come through Larkin. Okay? So again, I've been able to, do the triangle, go from here up to the top point of the triangle, down to the bottom point of the triangle, and I have my distance across here. So I've got those. Her distance is up and down to me, and then across. So it's got to match here by coming up and down. All right, so rather than make this a extremely long video, I know there's some parts that went through real fast. I'm gonna try and do that in another video to kind of explain the same thing, but using the clustering to figure it out in aid to this. Because in all honesty, your first step really should be clustering, and to do the matches and do the clustering, you simply pick a match here at second cousin level and create a group, add them to the group, and get the shares. So I'd take this one and come with shared matches, create a custom group. I can call it anything, just say 321 because it's right there on the pad. And then I just assign everybody in the shared matches in that group. Okay, you can't do it wrong. All right, there's no wrong. Here, we'll just delete this group. When you're doing the clustering. In fact, I reclustered mine many times simply because I wanted to get, and you get different insights into your family if you cluster beginning with a different person. And so after maybe 2-3 times you cluster, then you start saying, okay, these people always consistently are together. These people are always consistently together. Now pick them to start your cluster, and you're going to get a much more solid delineation of who's in each which line. Well, there it is. Like I said, that's the red pill, and you can find out as easy as right-clicking on the trees that are public, looking for commonalities, doing a little bit of research, and finding out how they overlay. And if you want more detail in the meantime, there is the 4-part series and channel that starts with clustering, which goes through and clusters all these. And then right here, like we did here, we didn't make trees. We just kind of flipped browsers real quick and, zip, 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 and apologize for that. But in the other one, I was talking about making a dirty tree, because at this point, you're not trying to make a tree. I use Family Tree Maker, kept it outside of here completely, but you're making a tree to figure out how all these people, in fact, originally I made 4 trees because I didn't have all these people in the list. Now I have all these people in the list. This is a 1-hour find, maybe 2-hour find to figure out who my father is, because these people have taken the test. To be fair, most all the people here took the test either at my request or because I bought it or something of that nature. So, it kind of oversimplified now because there's all these matches in it. At the time, there weren't the matches. So I had to, take those people's trees that were bad trees. They had dirty, ugly, mistake-ridden, spelling-ridden, year-wrong trees. But that was okay. There was enough clues in those trees that I could take it, use my experience, go out and find the census reports, go out and find, birth and death certificates, go out and find other records in order to make the tree look, pretty trustworthy. Then I started, doing the triangulation on top of that. So, cluster, make a dirty tree, verify that tree with the backup documentation, then do the triangulation on top of it. There's that 4-part series in the channel that describes those. Now, again, I hope to make videos on that 4-part series and make it a lot more videos than just 4, because those were long videos, and like I said, this one's gonna be a long video, and I apologize. I know I went browser tab, and went really fast. But still, how long is this video? It's going to be a real long video. So my apologies for that. I will break it out and make it slower. But I want to try and get as much information out to people as I can, because there were a lot of comments on the last video. I'm going through this now. And I want to show, what are the fastest ways to get from point A to point B? Because when you're in that situation, that's really what matters to you. You want to find the answer. And once you find that answer, you can begin, your heart begins to heal. And so I want to help as quickly as I can get, for those people that can get this, understand it, they'll be able to do it and zip it out. And then we'll do another one that's a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, and then they'll have that group of people. And then I'll have another mini series like I did the one with 4, but each one of those 4 may be a week long or so, and really get down into the meat of it. And that way we can take and challenge some of the anomalies that do come up. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you think it'll help somebody that's going through this, you might pass it around to them. Until then, thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.